The sudden drying up of the ancient Euphrates River, which has flowed for thousands of years, has led to an astonishing discovery.
Millions in Syria and Iraq are facing water shortages as the region's longest river, the Euphrates, dries up.
The unearthing of Gilgamesh, the mythical hero of Mesopotamian mythology. This video delves into the mysterious disappearance of the Euphrates River and the striking finding of Gilgamesh. The Euphrates, originating in Turkey and passing through Syria and Iraq, meets the Tigris River to form the SHATT al-Arab River, which ultimately empties into the Persian Gulf. This river, Western Asia's longest at approximately 1,740 miles in length, has various names, including Yiprat, Parat, Frat, and Farat. The Euphrates is considered a physical representation of the heavenly river Yardna in Mandaean scriptures. Ancient Mesopotamian cities like Babylon, Ur, and Nineveh were situated along its banks, and the river played a significant role in human civilization and regional history. Throughout history, it served as a natural boundary between empires, making the region both crucial and contentious. The Euphrates is frequently mentioned in both the Old and New Testaments of the Bible as an important landmark symbolizing the power and majesty of ancient empires. The river is associated with the Garden of Eden and the origin of humanity in the Old Testament. Furthermore, it is one of the 4 rivers that flowed from Eden and served as a natural boundary for the land promised to the Israelites. The discovery of the statue of Gilgamesh marks a significant milestone in researching Mesopotamian history and mythology. Gilgamesh is a well-known character in ancient Near Eastern literature. In the New Testament, the Euphrates River is mentioned as a gathering point for the kings of the East before the Battle of Armageddon. The river's drying up, as mentioned in the book of Revelation, allows the kingdoms of the East to march across it unimpeded. Only a few references to Gilgamesh exist outside of writings. The flood narrative from the Gilgamesh epic, discovered by George Smith over a century ago, remains the most apparent connection between the Hebrew Bible and the Mesopotamian epic. However, the flood account in the biblical text is not the sole link between these two ancient literary works. The Dead Sea Scrolls, Book of Giants, may mention Gilgamesh, the heroic protagonist of the Gilgamesh epic, as the intrepid hero of one of the world's earliest epics. Gilgamesh could be considered the progenitor of subsequent heroic figures, both ancient and modern. The Epic of Gilgamesh, a literary classic from ancient Mesopotamia, narrates his story. The epic focuses on the legendary Gilgamesh journeys, traditionally depicted as the king of URUK around 2700 BCE. The recent rediscovery of the epic significantly impacted our understanding of the ancient Near East and altered our approach to studying the Hebrew Bible. Gilgamesh's legend's transmission in various forms and languages demonstrates the character's broad appeal across the ancient Near East and beyond. Archaeological excavations in locations such as Iraq, Turkey, and Megiddo have unearthed fragments of the text's original copy. Many scholars believe that the Hebrew Bible's authors were familiar with the Gilgamesh tale and drew on this knowledge to create references and contrasts within the Hebrew Bible's text. In 2003, archaeologists working in Iraq claimed they might have discovered the lost tomb of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, the ruler of ancient Sumerian city URUK, was the protagonist in the earliest documented story in human history. The Epic of Gilgamesh, written on clay tablets in Sumerian language in the 3rd millennium BC, commemorated the life of the individual ruling URUK at the time. URUK was one of the oldest, most powerful, and longest surviving cities in the region, possibly giving modern Iraq its name, although this claim's validity is disputed. The Epic of Gilgamesh recounts Gilgamesh's quest for immortality and his battles against various mythical creatures. In 2003, a German-led expedition announced that it had discovered the entire city of URUK, including the final resting place of its legendary ruler. This site would have been surrounded by the Euphrates waters before the river changed its course. Georg Fassbinder, head of the Bavarian Department of Historical Monuments in Munich, cautiously remarked, "I don't want to say definitely that it was the grave of Gilgamesh, but it looks very similar to that described in the epic." According to the ancient tale, Gilgamesh was buried beneath the Euphrates River in a tomb constructed after the waters of the old river divided upon his death. This story was preserved on clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform. Fassbinder explained that just outside the city, within the former Euphrates River's middle, they found remains of a structure that could potentially be a burial site. He attributed this remarkable discovery of the ancient city hidden beneath Iraq's desert sands to advancements in technology. By analyzing the soil's magnetization variances, researchers could examine the ground. The differences between the mud bricks and sediments in the Euphrates provide a detailed structure. Fassbinder, calling the city Venice in the sands of time, was astounded to find structures already depicted in the Gilgamesh epic. They explored an area greater than 100 hectares, discovering garden and field structures, Babylonian dwellings, and an intricate canal network. Some dwellings showed signs of flood damage, suggesting a highly developed system once existed, akin to Venice in the midst of the desert. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers, mentioned in various historical texts and even future prophecies, have existed for millennia. The Tigris ultimately converges with the Euphrates, flowing into the Persian Gulf through the SHATT al-Arab region, near the Euphrates River. These two rivers, along with Africa's Nile River, form the Fertile Crescent, a Middle Eastern region known for its rich soil and recognized as the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia, a territory situated between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers within the Fertile Crescent, is renowned for its connections to these historic rivers and is also called the land between the rivers. The Euphrates and Tigris rivers, mentioned in ancient texts such as the Bible and Hadith, have been around for millennia and are included in end-of-time prophecies. However, these vital Middle Eastern rivers have experienced their lowest levels in history in recent years due to human activity and climate change. There is a risk they may go completely dry within the next 2 decades. The river's decline has had significant environmental impacts. The Euphrates Basin hosts numerous plant and animal species, many of which face extinction as the water supplies deplete, destroying habitats and disrupting the region's biological balance. Despite the negative consequences, the drought has had some positive effects, particularly in archaeology. Numerous artifacts have emerged from the Tigris and Euphrates, including a 3,400-year-old city revealed when water levels in the Mosul reservoir in northern Iraq dropped. Archaeologists have discovered ruins and artifacts dating back to the Bronze Age Mittani Empire era, with some suggesting the ancient metropolis may be called Zaheku. The Mittani Empire, once as affluent as Assyria, Egypt, and Babylon, dominated the northern Euphrates-Tigris region, spanning from present-day northern Iraq through Syria and into Turkey. However, it declined and was eventually conquered by the Akkadian Empire. The Mittani Empire had a class-based system, with the ruling class called the Marianu. Neighboring kingdoms invaded and occupied their territory to control large trade routes, hastening their downfall. Despite being made of unfired clay, the city was astonishingly well preserved after more than 40 years underwater. Archaeologists acted quickly to map the city, fearing rising water levels in the dam would once again submerge it. Around 1350 BC, an earthquake led to the destruction of a city discovered near the Mosul dam. Eventually, the city was submerged due to the rising water levels caused by the dam's construction in the 1980s. On the Euphrates side, receding waters have revealed over 80 historical sites, including ancient jails and cemeteries belonging to the city of Telvas, dating back to before Christ. Among these sites are the remains of old buildings. According to SHATT Persian, the Telvas prison was initially a cluster of burials from the Assyrian era. Despite the potential threat to their existence, rivers continued to yield valuable discoveries. As we gain access to these remarkable resources, we must also acknowledge the risks they face. If the water levels in these two rivers continue to drop, we will undoubtedly uncover more historical relics and sites of global significance. However, these discoveries will come at a considerable financial cost. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments, and please to subscribe and like the video.